You're listening to the #1 Oilers podcast, Handkerchief Dynasty. 2 minutes for interference.
The line must be drawn here.
Move over. Another time. Welcome one, welcome all. Handkerchief Dynasty. We are on episode 93, I believe.
What a number. The Nuge episode.
It's the Nuge episode. I hope everyone has taken their ritual tonics and completed the holy ablutions, the holy Saturday morning ablutions. I feel like the Saturday morning ablutions are something this generation is missing out on far too often. Wouldn't you agree, High Priest of Oilers Magic?
Yeah, I'd say that they're. I do my ablutions like on a Tuesday, so it's tough to say. I don't really, you know what I mean?
Obviously you're a professional. Like all professionals do the ablutions on Tuesday.
Right.
But like in terms of like, you know, when you're introducing children to ablutions early on, and they still, it's like we had the same thing with basketball when I was a kid. You know, you have the tiny little basketballs that you give the little kids so they learn how to dribble and pass and shoot. You know, it's like the same thing with the Saturday morning ablutions.
Yeah, I'd say the kids of today, broadly speaking, are missing out on the Saturday morning ablutions and the Saturday morning funny papers.
So kids, if you don't know for some reason how to ablute, you weren't introduced to the sacred rituals properly, just take the nearest glass of water and pour it over your head, and you have been initiated. Give you a moment to do that. Okay. We got to involve more like listener participation in the podcast, I think. High Priest?
That's a really good idea. Yeah. Good idea. Great idea.
So you wanted to sound off on a certain top 50 list.
Oh my gosh!
What publication? What so-called publication in the so-called media published this so-called top 50 best players in the NHL list?
Listen, this. The more I think about it, like we just kind of agreed moments ago. You were like, what should we talk about? And I was like, this. But then very quickly, like now that it's here and we're about to talk about the hockey news, like, do you remember the hockey news when you were a kid? Did you ever see it or read it or pick it up? Like it was an actual newspaper. Do you remember that?
Sure. I mean, this is pre.
We were in elementary
everything
school.
Else. Yeah.
We were in elementary school.
Yeah. This is pre-internet, basically.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. Pre-internet.
Like in its real form, you know. Besides people just like sexting on like IRC or whatever it was.
Right.
It was like. Remember dialing into the university internet connection back in the day? It was like the only way basically to get online.
I never did that.
You never did that?
I just got the internet like a couple weeks ago.
Oh, okay.
So this is all real new to me, real new. But the hockey news was like an actual newspaper, and I used to get it when I was in elementary school. They had it at our school library and stuff, and it was like you could read it the way a grown-up read a newspaper, like the same sort of dimensions applied, right? Like you would sit down and read the hockey news with your breakfast or like with a cup of hot chocolate, as though you were a grown-up, right? It was this weird thing. And then as the years went by, like all sort of print media, it sort of turned crappier in one way or another, kind of like it just kind of lost its shine. And now it's like a magazine form, right? Magazine form. And it's nowhere near as good. It's still pretty good, but also like it's just not the same. Like it used to be, the way the hockey news was put together was very serious. Like the tone of it was like a newspaper. Like this is the news. Like it was kind of boring almost to read in a way. Like it's
like Walter Cronkite style.
Yes, the back pages and everything were really like stats heavy. It was like the financial section of a newspaper. It was just like stats and stats from every league on earth, it seemed like, when I was a kid. And it was just like these names of guys you'd never heard of them before. You'll never hear of these guys in any other context.
Did they have the Brazilian, even the Brazilian league?
I'm sure they did. They had everything. I think they even had off-planet leagues. What was the league you got into during the shutdown? You got into some
that's the pseudo NHL, which
pseudo
is in the
NHL
pseudo universe. Yeah, no.
Pseudo NHL.
But that all got shut down. That's all shut down now.
I know.
It's in the time lock that the Time Lords put
but
on.
That was in there.
Huge
that was
bummer.
in there. Anyway,
okay.
The hockey news today has become, in my opinion, a shadow of its former self. And I don't want to be like.
And why is that? Is that would that have to do with the certain so-called top 50 list that was just published?
Well, that's kind of like the capper. I mean, like we could start there. So, yeah, they put out their hockey yearbook, the Hockey News yearbook, right? Which has on the cover, it has a picture of Steven Stamkos hoisting the Stanley Cup, which to me is stupid. You know, like he played like 5 minutes. He had sort of a legendary performance, I suppose, but and he's the captain of the team. But I really don't think it should be anyway, neither here nor there. And then he's surrounded by a player from every team, right? Sort of like a collage with all the guys, a player from every team. Our guy, Connor McDavid, of course. So when I saw that, I didn't really know I saw it on the internet first. And I, like I said, just got it 2 weeks ago. So I tweeted at the Hockey News and I was like, how come Leon Draisaitl's not on this cover? But then I realized there's only one guy from every team on the cover. They went with Connor McDavid over Leon Draisaitl. Fine. Willing to give them a pass on that one. So then I'm going through it and they have the top 50 players in the NHL, right? Okay, so number one player. Who would you say? Number one player in the NHL. Who do you think is the number one player?
By all rights of God and man, or
yeah, just by, it's not a difficult question.
Obviously, it's Connor McDavid.
Okay, yeah. Right. They went with Nathan MacKinnon, and get this. I quote from the Hockey News. Listen to how ridiculous this statement is. What they wrote here. We did not take this lightly, and we did not do it for the headlines. Sure, Connor McDavid would have been an easy number one pick. But it was
the right number pick.
Right. And then they go on but it was McKinnon, blah, 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 who elevated his game, blah, 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 blah. So, what's going on here? Where's the journalistic integrity? This is not even, in your opening statements of the top 50, your opening sentence of the top 50 list.
It's like lampshading. They open with a lampshade. They're like, sure, this is the wrong choice. But, blah, 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 blah. Basically,
Is that what that's called? Lampshading?
Well, it's kind of similar to that. Lampshading is when you're writing a story and there's something stupid that happens or whatever, but then later on the characters will say, "Oh, but it was so stupid when that happened," or they'll comment on it in a way to help alleviate the stupidness of it somehow.
Oh, really? Man,
yeah,
I had no
for
idea.
example, in the stupid fucking Star Trek second movie. The Wrath of, I can't write a screenplay. No, I'm just fucking joking. But it's so terrible. They're the Enterprise is in an ocean, which you would never do for any number of billions of reasons. It's the stupidest thing you could ever do. And then as they're coming out of the ocean, the engineer's just why you'd ever put a starship in salt water, which is one of the most corrosive materials known to man. It's just, that's lampshading. It's we have our stupid idea. So because we're too stupid to think of a non-stupid idea, but we're smart enough to know how stupid our idea is. So we'll get the characters to comment on it to help alleviate the tension of our stupidity.
Wow. They don't call you the secret professor for nothing, my friend.
That warms the cockles of my heart to hear that.
I'm sure it does, which is that's something you should be ashamed of.
Yeah, for sure.
You know what I mean?
Most definitely am. I think anyone who isn't ashamed of their cockles is really, what a great Scrabble word cockles would be.
Yeah, it really unfurls nicely.
How do you spell cockles? It's just cock les, I think.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. Cockless.
Number 2 on this list. Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
So who's number 2?
Number 2 is Connor.
It's got to be, right? Yes, it's number 2.
It would be beyond, because when you've already reached the heights of, it's like trying to reach the heights of stupidity and absurdity that they would have to reach to not have Connor at number 2. It's like how there's multiple types of infinities.
Yes.
There's infinities that are greater than others. It's you need to reach a level of infinite stupidity even higher.
What do you think?
I'm not even going to think about if they had him beyond not number 3.
No, but what do you think, had he not been number 2, what do you think the opening sentence of number 2 would have been? because they had already said like, sure, Connor McDavid was the easy pick for number 1, but they went with somebody else. Now, if he wasn't number 2, what do you think like the opening sentence of number 2?
I think the only acceptable opening sentence of Connor McDavid isn't number 2 would just be like a mishmash of letters, as though like the writer had like fallen on their keyboard and like they accidentally published the article and it just had like some gibberish and then like some like random characters and it just had like, I don't know, like a Steve Stamkos at number 2 or something, like, I don't know.
Yeah, right. So it would have been
like
like a mishmash of letters, and then it would have kind of like blended into talking about Steven Stamkos, and like as though he wasn't aware of what was going on. And then number 3,
and also because like Steven Stamkos is like pretend or something, whatever.
Yeah, and then like number 3 would have been Connor McDavid, as though like nothing had ever happened, right? It just would have been this weird, all evidence.
Like, no, would have been number at number 3, and then the paragraph would have started. An obvious choice at number 2. Connor McDavid is the best player who ever lived, and it's ridiculous we didn't place him at number 1, because they need to spend like, even with him at number 2, they'd have to be spending that entire paragraph talking about how he should have been number 1. That's the only acceptable, even the current form. Like, can you read the paragraph for McDavid?
Yeah, I'll read, and I quote. This is the beginning of it, right? From the beginning, from the top. His speed is something to behold, and when he has the puck on his stick, he seems to fly even faster.
The phrase "no shit Sherlock" comes to mind.
Yeah, they don't really try to undo.
People have been saying that shit about Connor McDavid since day one. They're like, oh, he gets faster with the puck. It's like fucking 20
oh my gosh.
15 once it's like line back. The hockey news.
You're so right, man. Like, is that like not the most?
It's like the first, most obvious. Everyone had that take a million years ago take on Connor McDavid. It's like the least original thing they could have written about him, out of all the things they could have written.
Yeah, listen to it again. Listen to it again. It's so awful.
Oh God.
His speed is something to behold, and when he has the puck on his stick, he seems to fly even faster.
Oh man, I'm glad I paid a premium price for this expert hockey knowledge. These are insights I've never heard before.
All right, so number 3. Who's number 3? Excuse me, number 3.
Well, obviously, at number 3 should be Draisaitl. I mean, Draisaitl and McDavid both belong in the top 3, as far as I'm concerned. As far as I'm concerned, they belong in the top 2, but you know.
It's not Leon Draisaitl. Number 3. Take another guess. It's not Leon Draisaitl.
Goaltender Mike Smith? I don't know.
No, okay. You're not taking it very seriously.
No, I'm not. At this point, I'm just pissed off at whoever wrote this list, and I want them to fuck off.
Sidney Crosby is number 3.
Okay, that's fine. Yeah.
Right?
Great.
Sure. Okay, number 4.
Can we? Yeah, no, I don't want to hear about Sidney Crosby. Yeah, number 4. So number 4 should be Leon Draisaitl.
Number 4 is Artemi Panarin. Okay, so that means that this guy, whoever wrote Ryan Kennedy, who wrote this article, shout out to Ryan Kennedy for writing this ridiculous top 50 players.
Do you figure he's like of the Kennedys?
Yeah, of course. He's probably JFK's.
It's like what Joe Kennedy is to current politics. This guy is to like hockey writing, but no one's gonna get that reference.
Number 4. That was my impression of Ryan Kennedy writing his list.
So Panarin is better than Draisaitl.
Yeah, Ryan Kennedy.
And how many points did Crosby have this year compared to Draisaitl?
I
mean, you know, Crosby's.
I'm not sure. I mean, I could tell you.
Good, great, obviously.
Anyway. Yeah, Sidney Crosby. I'm fine with him as number 3. Sure. Artemi Panarin ahead of Leon Draisaitl? I don't think so.
All right. Are in any of these paragraphs are they talking about how Leon Draisaitl should be in consideration for these higher up ones?
No, they're not. There's no mention of Leon Draisaitl.
So explain to me 5. What does he say? What does he say about Draisaitl at 5? And if Draisaitl isn't 5, we're finding out who this guy is, and we're gonna make fun of him on Twitter.
Leon Draisaitl is not number 5.
Leon Draisaitl's not number 5.
He's not in the top 5. The Hart winner, right, of the NHL is not considered one of the top 5 players in the NHL by Ryan Kennedy and the Hockey News. Number 5 is David Pastrnak.
All right, well, fine. Like David Pastrnak is like
no, it's not fine
great,
at all.
but it's not fine to like basically like the thing is Draisaitl should have been on this list long before. Like he's the only player with over 100 points. He's like I mean, he's got 17 points on McKinnon. He's got 15 on Panarin and Pasternak.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, this guy is saying, I mean, if you had a choice to
like
start
he's
a team
clearly the best season of any player in the league this year. He had 50 goals last year as well.
Yeah.
And then there's this this cluster behind him led by Connor McDavid in the points race. And then literally everyone in that cluster is better than the guy leading the whole pack.
It's so strange, man. This guy's saying if you had a choice between David Pasternak and Leon Draisaitl to build a team around, you would go with
that's the other thing.
David Pasternak over Leon Draisaitl. Like, it's so weird to me. Because it's strange because we watched Leon Draisaitl play, right? Like, we watched more or less all of the Oilers games, right?
And he was a machine. He was a hockey machine.
It's crazy. Like, I feel like the hockey news is like gaslighting me or something. You know what I mean? Like, I saw it with my own eyes, and they're telling me that, like,
gaslighting is a little more sophisticated and sinister. This is more just like a middle finger, I'd say. They flipped you the bird. I think it's a little more like it, what I'd say.
But why are they doing that? Like, why? Also,
because they probably still think Draisaitl's playing on the same line as McDavid. They still think the hottest take on Connor McDavid is he's got speed to behold, and he almost seems to get faster with the puck on his stick.
Like, how could they think that Nathan McKinnon is better than Connor McDavid? Like, it's insane. Anyway,
I don't know. Like, any one of these things is probably fairly defensible, but like the stacking these mistakes upon mistakes, like Draisaitl and McDavid are both in the top three with a bullet. If you're gonna put McKinnon in number one, McDavid and Draisaitl should be 2 and 3. I would, Draisaitl belongs in the conversation at number 1 though. So for him to be at bloody number 6,
it's insane, right? It's insane. Anyway, the hockey news, like, I'm sorry, you're not what you once were. Maybe you are. Maybe I'm just looking at my past through rose-tinted glasses. But
no, I mean it's the decline of journalism at large.
That's what I think so too.
Yeah.
That's what I think.
Yeah, hard-hitting hockey journalism, which is that's what people mean when they say things like the fifth estate. Who's the fourth estate? Which estate is it?
The Fifth Estate.
That was the name because there's that CBC show, right?
That's how CTV. That's how I remember.
Now, didn't they cut all the funding for that show and force them to just do like
I think the
top 10 reasons why list, like
yeah, it became like BuzzFeed. I think also the Fifth Estate like did an expose on themselves, and then they took themselves off the air. That's how it all. That was the last episode of the Fifth Estate.
Really shot yourself in the foot there, Fifth Estate. That's tough. Actually, I don't think it was the Fifth Estate, but I saw some kind of expose piece. It was about how almost everything that you quote unquote return to Amazon just gets like dumped in like pristine grasslands and wetlands and stuff. Like basically, It's like it costs, like you send back whatever it is to, you send your anal beads back to Amazon. It's like it's like way cheaper for them to just like literally throw it away than like take it back, process it, do something with it. So there's literally just like warehouses just full of junk that they just like
really
are just like dumping by the side of the road or whatever, because it's just like, it seems like kind of an inefficient system to me.
Yeah,
it's like, oh, this isn't the slow cooker I wanted. I ordered. I got the slightly different model. Oh yeah, no problem. Meanwhile, it's like, some birds are nesting in it like 16 days later.
A literal island of misfit toys. Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer.
Yeah, I mean, if instead of a bunch of lovable children's puppets, you had like a cold, damp, dark warehouse locked up with like some dude with a mustache smoking outside.
Yeah.
So I did want to talk to you also about something very important, I think, to the cultural zeitgeist, and that is so I was in through no fault of my own, okay, no abundant intentionality on my part, I was in a Disney store recently, and as I walked through the like scary space, there was like a bunch of like a mom and a bunch of kids like all kind of like huddled around the Baby Yoda merchandise. And I realized because like this is how my life has changed since like the early 2000s, right? Like back in the early 2000s, the way to like look cool, if you're trying to be a dick and actually trying to look cool, the way you do that is you go to a cafe and try and have a loud but interesting sounding conversation. You know what I mean?
Okay.
You'd be like at the cafe waiting for your coffee, and then like you try and end up trying to engage the barista about Tarkovsky or something to like sound like more interesting than you actually are.
Yeah.
Not that I would ever do this, but I was at the receiving end of this as a barista from time to time. Or baristo? Is it baristo when you're a dude? Anyways,
I think it's still barista.
That's been replaced, I think, now to like that space where you're trying to have like an interesting sounding conversation to look cool. You now do that around the Baby Yoda merchandise, I find. So like as we walked by, behind my mask, I said something like, oh, like Baby Yoda is like a cultural touchstone that we'll remember like for the rest of our lives forever,
Yeah.
And I was thinking about it a lot as I walked through the store, looking at the other creepy, like unloved dolls, while everyone was just like grabbing all the Baby Yoda merchandise they could.
Mm.
Like, there's no way. Like, at first I thought that's such a good idea someone had, Like, and I never attributed it to Jon Favreau, but I guess possibly it was him because I think he wrote the show or most of those, like the early episodes. But I'm beginning to wonder. I think it's much more likely now that Baby Yoda is like the product of a lab. Like they went into a focus group place, like a company, and set it up, and they're like, okay, baby Darth Maul, baby Grand Moff Tarkin, baby Darth Vader.
Well, you're
omitting, and then what?
I was gonna say you're omitting the one that negates your entire theory, but keep going. It's Baby Chewie, of course, would have been the most popular thing of all times.
Well, I bet you they had a whole Baby Chewie thing lined up. Like they were all set. They were like, Jesus Christ, Baby Chewie is like the highest rated idea we've ever had to come through this like hideous, dystopic, soulless, soul crushing, soul shattering, soul chipping away at process.
Yeah.
Baby Chewie is like gonna make us all billionaires, everybody. We just have to build a story around him now.
Mm-hmm.
And then like at the last minute, the guy running the very last focus group, who was like some degenerate gambler or whatever, and was just really throwing all the ideas out there. He was just like, Baby Yoda? And he laughed to himself because it was like so ridiculous. Because, Yoda's a very old, wise guy, right?
Right.
And then all of a sudden, 10 minutes later, he comes rushing into the boardroom in a frantic panic, being like, guys, Baby Yoda. No, Baby Yoda is the one. And then they had to like stop production on the Baby Chewie series.
Yeah.
And then he's in the Mandalorian or whatever. It's like, but it's also kind of a sad commentary because, what was cool about Yoda was he was this old, whimsical, funny, but like wise sage type figure who was always like laying down like huge, like stoic wisdom,
Right.
But then now, because we've degenerated to the point of being like a baby civilization, a civilization of babies, our Yoda figure is now just like a cute baby that doesn't say shit.
Yeah.
Sometimes, but somehow still knows how to like use the Force.
Yeah. Very true.
At the same time, I think it's important that we all give thanks for Baby Yoda and praise him and his grace. Baby Yoda, I mean, it's important not to forget, my friend, Baby Yoda died for our sins. So, it's pretty serious business here. Like, I don't want to be flippant and be, irreligious or what's the word? Not a heathen. What your heresy? No, not heresy.
A heretic?
No, not heretic. What's the S one? Sacrilegious? Sacrilegious. I don't want to promote sacrilege against Baby Yoda is what I'm saying. I'm just saying it's important to realize the like cultural milieu in which this figure has come about, It was an algorithmic creation, I'm quite sure. I also think they were probably working on a baby Darth Maul thing for a while early on.
No, I don't think so. I don't think so. That's where I get off. That's where I get off your idea bus. That's my stop.
All right.
One stop before baby Darth Maul is where I
Okay.
leave.
Well, no, we got one more stop on the bad idea subway, actually. But let's start the wind down procedure. Okay. Thank you. So, I also wanted to, there was some shopping going on, right? Black Friday.
You're talking about in-person shopping? You went shopping?
No, not per se. Not per se. Not per se, but that's why I said there was shopping going on, right?
Okay, sure.
I quite like just going to public places and just watching the shoppers, which is what I was telling my friend at the time as I accompanied them shopping. Now, there are these stores where you can get every flavor of anything in the form of some kind of hand soap.
Yeah, for sure.
You go in there and there's just a billion types of hand soap. A lot of them smell really delicious. I'm sure dozens of children are poisoned a year because they're drinking the like peach flavored that has like probably the exact same peach flavoring as your peach flavored like candy. Right? So you have all these delicious scents, everyone under the rainbow, but there's one that's really missing for me.
What's that?
I want a Subway flavored hand soap. I want to be able to wash my hands and smell
Transit?
Subway. No, not Underground Transit. The Subway sandwich shop smell. Because ever since the government of Ireland, denounced Subway as not having real bread, until Subway will allow people to bring their own bread, which let's be honest, in these times is never going to happen. I don't want to go there to eat anymore. I mean, let's be honest, I haven't gone there in a long time. But sometimes I still miss the smell. Still want that weird smell of Subway around because it's kind of alluring, but it's much better for me long term to just probably smell it a little bit instead of actually like become a patron of Subway again.
Okay.
Subway restaurants, excuse me.
I think that you should get a job at Subway. Then your hands would smell like that all the time. You'd never be able to get it off you.
I like my paintbrush. I put down my sandwich knife a long time ago. There's some arts you can't go back to.
Okay.
My life as a sandwich artist. And now I only sandwich for myself now. You know that. Why are you saying this now?
You don't
it's
do
very
it.
Hurtful. It's very hurtful. You bring this up on today of days, the anniversary of my first Reuben. You son of a bitch.
You don't do it for commercial purposes anymore. You'll never get involved in that scene again. It took a lot out of you.
Well, it's like when you suffer for the sandwich.
Yeah, I know.
Live for it.
I know. I was there. I shouldn't have brought it up. I'm really sorry.
And you see people eating their pizza pockets.
I know. And the other thing I was going to say is you mentioned in there a scenario wherein someone is allowed to bring their own bread into a Subway sandwich shop. Is this something that like you can picture a world where this is going on? Like, was this something that when Ireland made that announcement, you were like, wait a second, like,
no, but it's
what
like,
about?
It's a political movement. BYOB, bring your own bread to Subway, because like it'll force them. It's more of a political statement than anything. It's more like you go to Subway and they won't let you put your sandwich meats and toppings on real bread, so you throw the bread at them in protest. It's like the great baguette protests against Macron.
Yeah.
What were they called? Panjun, yellow bread. What was it? Yellow jacket bread. And that was some awesome shit.
I think there was Yellow Jackets, but I wasn't sure that there was. I mean, the bread angle was new to me. Yellow bread, was that was part of it?
No, it's Yellow Jackets. But there was a hot minute there, right after Trump got elected and right after Macron got elected, where everyone was just like, oh, well, Trump isn't the leader of the free world. So the U.S. press was calling these European leaders the quote unquote leader of the free world. One of them called Merkel the leader of the free world. Another one was just called Macron the leader of the free world. And I was just my jaw just dropped to the floor. I was like, what is this? And then cut to literally 6 months later, and farmers are just getting their machines out into the streets and just spewing manure onto government buildings, being like, we hate this man so much. We hate this government so much. He says an approval rating below 10%. He's a goblin. And now their former president Sarkozy, otherwise known as Mr. Carla Bruni, is on trial. Now tell me, when you look at that man's face, tell me that's not an honest man. Come on. He like looks like a villain in a James Bond movie or something almost.
Yeah.
Or no,
Yeah,
more
France,
like a shitty knockoff of a James Bond movie.
Like a kind of like a European Bond movie made in Europe by a European studio.
Yeah, like a French one. It's like it's like the French Bonds. It's called Monsieur something.
Monsieur James.
No, it's got to be like Jacques or something.
No, it's James.
I have no idea.
It's Monsieur James.
It's the stupidest. Yeah, but it's like a low budge, like fan film level. Yeah, and then the villain is played by Nicolas Sarkozy.
Yeah. Oh man. I would watch that.
Sarkozy.
I would watch that.
Have there been any French hockey players of note since Cristobal Huet?
Yeah, there's the guy who plays. Oh my gosh, what's the name of that guy who plays on the? I think last I saw he was playing on Dallas. I don't think he's there anymore though. But yeah, he's from France. I can't remember his name. There is one though.
All right.
I've always thought, isn't that like an interesting angle? I
always thought so. Yeah.
Yeah. Great angle.
Well, like, it's because Quebec is such a hockey superpower.
Oh, exactly.
But
I remember I caught an interview.
Really, I don't think it's really played much in France. Like is France on the same level even as like the British league, or is it around the same level or a little better?
Yeah, I'm not sure, but I think his story was, I wish I could remember who it was, but he was born in France and he grew up there until he was like, I don't know, maybe 14, but then he moved to Quebec. But I think he was playing hockey in France as well. It was a crazy story. I remember I caught the interview and I was just like, it had all of my attention. I was like, wow, this is good stuff. This is the type of story I want to hear. The French hockey player from France. Is there a better story? Not really.
Not really, but like also, hold on, let's just see here a second. What is the French league called?
I don't know. Is there one even?
Oh, here it is. The Ligue Magnus. Magnu? Current name of the top men's division of French ice hockey. Established in 1906. Renamed in 2004 to take the name of its championship trophy, the Magnus Cup. How do you say Magnus in French? Magnu. Isn't it?
Yeah, that's all right. Sure. That sounds good.
Fuck. All right, let's see. What are the teams here? So let's look at the list of French hockey players. Wow. There's only been like 12 all time or some crazy shit.
Crazy.
Yeah. And Cristobal Huet isn't even on here because he's a goalie. Oh, no, wait, there he is. Oh, he had 3 assists. So Cristobal Huet in games played is the third highest. Third most games played amongst French-born players. Antoine Roussel.
That's the guy.
Pierre-Edouard Bellemare. Bellemare?
Oh, yeah. I remember that guy.
Oh, shit. Johan Avitu, didn't he play for us?
I'm not sure. That name's not familiar to me.
Yeah. He was in Oilers. He played for the Oilers 33 games in 2017-18.
What's his name?
Johan Avitu. Auvitu.
Huh.
Yeah.
Wow.
He played 33 games. How many points did Johan Avitu, man? You don't remember him?
No.
How many? You remember how many? He's had 33 games. How many points did he have? He was +4.
I don't remember.
This is what I love. This is what I love about like players that get a cup of coffee in the NHL. Is like you'll look at their NHL stats and you'll be like, how did this guy?
I know.
Put up those. He put up this. He had 9 points in 33 games. I don't know what that prorates to over a full season, but like that seems like NHL production to me. But then of course, he actually only played like less than 50 games after that anywhere. He played a little bit in the KHL, a little bit in Sweden. Maybe he got injured.
I wonder where he is today. Legitimately, I really do. I wonder about all those guys. What happens to all the guys afterwards?
I don't know. Maybe they just go into like some. Maybe like is there like a lesser Valhalla for like professional Hockey players, because we all know about like the great Valhalla. Maybe like Valhalla, they just take everyone. They're like, look, man, it's cool. How many points did you have in your 33 NHL games? He's like 9. They're like, great. Come on, sit down. Have a drink. Have a drink, man.
Tell us all about it.
Yeah. All right, well, why don't we leave it there, mon frere?
Okay.
Hey, that rhymes. That would be a good sign off from now on. Mon ami.
That's a good thing to say, not just when at the end of this podcast, but whenever you stop doing something, you should say that.
Let's leave it there, mon frere.
Yeah.
I did say that to a homeless guy who was like running at me.
Huh.
Yeah. I was like, let's leave it there, mon frere. And he stopped and turned back. You know, he's got to send the right energy. All right, dude. Well, have a good one, and I'll catch up with you very, very soon. To the listeners out there, please like and subscribe. We did get one more Apple review. Whoever that was, we bloody love you. To our fans in Brazil watching the Brazilian Hockey League, please enjoy. Brazil remains our number 3 most has our number. It's like a number 3 country.
Really?
In listens. Yeah.
Did you
it's
know
been
that?
Been there with a bullet for a long time.
There's a hockey Twitter account from Brazil that I follow. That's awesome. I follow it too. Yeah. Oh, so
I think it's hockey on Espanol or something like that, isn't it?
No, it's like it's got Brazil in the thing, in the name of the account. It's nothing to do with Espanol.
If you're in Brazil and you're listening to the Handkerchief Dynasty podcast, you know we love you. Whether you're Brazilian, whether you're just a white person whose girlfriend just got a Brazilian, whether you're a fan of Bolsonaro or Lula or whoever else, it's all good in the hood, bro, because we're hockey fans. We're all in this together. Okay? From the barrio, the favelas to the sunny, beautiful beaches, you know. If you're going on a date with a nice Brazilian lady and she gets really mad at you at the end because you haven't paid on her, you know, just listen to the pod and, you know, everything won't seem so bad.
I read a book about Brazil once, just quite recently. It was a great book. Brazil's a fascinating country.
I agree. I read a book once as well.
About Brazil?
No.
You read one once.
It was like it had like a lot. It was kind of like culinary themes. Okay. But it was also like done in a really stylized way. It was in this list form. Okay. It's like a numbered list.
Sounds to me like
the story was only told in terms of like dishes you'd order at a restaurant.
Right.
And then it was actually, you didn't buy it in a bookstore. You didn't buy it at all. They just handed it to you and you read it. It was only like about 6 pages.
Right.
And you sat there and you read it, and then it was actually part of a theme park where they would serve you meals based on the story of the book, and you'd be like, oh, this is the spicy peanut chicken from like that one part, etc. You know?
Okay.
I really liked it. I really liked it a lot.
Yeah, I think I've. Do you remember? I think I've read that book actually.
Yeah, it's a classic, man. Do you think we're gonna get labor peace? That's my last question I'm gonna ask you, because it's been all quiet on the Western Front for days. And like some analysts are just saying, you know, this is just part of the waiting game. But like, man, oh man, like the specter of the season getting canceled altogether is like still hanging in the air a little bit.
They're gonna play. They have nothing else to do. They're not going to play because the money isn't there. I don't think. This thing is
just said they're not going to play because the money isn't there.
Yeah, I don't think that they're not going to play.
You don't think they're not going to play because the money isn't there? The money isn't there, though. So you don't think that they'd care about the money? These people, the money. Like I've heard some people say it's like, oh, we'll lose 10 million if we don't play. We'll lose 40 million if we do play. Like for some of these guys, you know, like meanwhile they're like, you know, missing payments on their like storefronts, like across the country or whatever, you know. Supposedly 80%. Did I tell you? Did I was talking to you about this? Like supposedly like 80% of like businesses in New York City are gonna miss their January rent payment. 80%.
Really? That's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, but like, you know what I mean? It's not gonna be something. I don't think that like civilization nor the hockey world is going to crumble. I just don't think so. I think it'll be different, but things will just keep going, right? Progress is always forward. So, meh. I mean, it sucks, but yes, it sucks. It can't always be days of wine and roses. You know what I mean? Sometimes, like, it's a little bleak. It's all part of the fun.
Isn't that movie really dark and depressing and bleak, though? What are you talking about? Have you ever
What
seen
movie?
Days of Wine and Roses?
No, I just thought it was something I could say.
It's about an alcoholic. And
Oh,
there's like
yeah.
a scene. There's like a scene.
With Jack Lemmon? Is that a Jack
Yeah,
Lemmon
yeah,
movie?
yeah. And
Oh,
he's
I
like
have
looking.
seen
It's
that
like
movie.
it's pretty cheesy because there's a scene where he like looks at himself in the mirror on the street, but he like doesn't recognize himself. He's like looks
Yeah,
like
yeah.
such a disgusting bum, and then he realizes that he's looking at himself, which like on the page is actually like really I like it a lot, but like when told like visually, it's just like how could you not know it's you? I don't know. But I think it works better on the page because everyone can actually remember a time where they saw themselves in the mirror but didn't realize it was themselves at first in like some
Well,
situation, outside.
I didn't mean to conjure up anyone's memories of the film Days of Wine and Roses, I guess, in retrospect. Poor choice of words.
All right.
It can't all be peaches and cream. It can't all be
That's a better one. Yeah.
bowls of ice cream.
Mm.
Is there a bad movie? Is there a depressing movie with Jack Lemmon called Bowls of Ice Cream?
No, but I could see like in an alternate universe there could be, I think actually. Like it could be like late Jack Lemmon, like Tuesdays with Maury era, bowls of ice cream, and he's like, like a cantankerous old, like wily old, wise, irreverent, politically incorrect, avuncular, neighborhood resident.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
One day one of the kids gets caught like trying to steal his recycling. And then they form an unlikely friendship. He teaches him about love and life and being a man. Man.
What
Bowls of ice cream.
Like bowls, like BULLS. Like bowls of ice cream. I think it should be like that.
No, his last name is Bowles, like Camilla Parker Bowles, and it's BO, and so it's bowls of ice cream.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
I still like.
He dies of diabetes like 40 minutes in.
I still like bowls of ice cream though with 2 L's. I think that's something. There's something to that.
Yeah, sure.
And sorry, did you say the kid gets caught for stealing his recycling?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because it's such a thing that like someone only from the 40s would care about. They're just like, oh, you stole my bottles.
Okay.
It's like, whereas now, if your bottles are outside, most of the time people are just like, oh, well, people will take these, and that's the thing.
Yeah. That sounds good.
Yeah.
I'd watch.
We have Jack Lemmon has passed on, unfortunately, so we have to find another actor. Maybe Christopher Plummer's available. He actually would be even better because he's more of a Bowles than Jack Lemmon is. Jack Lemmon's more of a like he'd have a non-fancy sounding name,
Right.
Whereas Christopher Plummer, like he's like so regal.
Yeah, right. Yeah, it would totally work.
Yeah. Did you ever see him as Mike Wallace in that 60 Minutes show, The Insider? So good. I fucking love it. His performance in that is great. That's a Michael Mann movie, Russell Crowe.
Yeah, right. Oh, no, I should watch that. I remember seeing
it's great.
I remember, yeah. I should watch it. I should watch it.
Yeah, we got to talk movies sometime on the new pod. Maybe expand the Baby Yoda discussion out. Anyways, man, let's leave it there. Thanks for chatting.
Okay.
I will catch you on the flip side.
All right.
And yeah, we'll talk soon.
Okay. See you later. Have a good one.